In today's video, we're going to make your very first program in Java. So we're going to break down the different parts of a very basic Java program. If you want to refer into your books, it would be the code listing 2 TAC 1 on page 27, at the very beginning of chapter 2. But we're going to talk about this using the IntelliJ IDE. And we're going to do this throughout the rest of the course just so that you have think of this as a practical lab. Think of this as where we can talk about what's going on in your program and not just what's inside the book. Okay, so picking up where we left off from the previous video, we created a project file. Congratulations. Now what did you do? All right, so let's break down what exactly is currently on the screen, and we'll start from top to bottom. So the Java package is simply the packages are used for grouping together classes that belong to the same category or provide similar functionality for structuring and organizing large applications with hundreds of classes. Now, this is a very simple program. You don't have hundreds of classes you're trying to organize, so this is more of a formality, but still you need it to run your program in in uh, uh, in IntelliJ. So let's go ahead and move to the next line. Would be line 3, public class main. So what does that mean? So everything that is highlighted in orange or is orange or created made orange in the uh, IntelliJ IDE, they're reserve words in the programming language, and we'll talk more about what reserve words mean. But public is a Java keyword, and as you can tell, it's all in lowercase, and it's known as an access specifier. Now, access specifiers control where a particular class can be accessed. So if you notice, before the reserve word class, this tells you this class is public. So you can access this. You can access this particular class from any runtime file. Now we'll talk about what class means. Class is a key concept in the idea of object-oriented programming. And at the end of chapter 2, or sorry, end of chapter 1, it talks a little bit about what object-oriented programming means. But classes are basically, you can think of it as a basic building block of object-oriented design. You can have a class that's it's sort of like a car is a class of object, um, and then you have different types of cars, and you can have different options within the same type of class of car. Some cars have runtime headlights. Some classes come with power window, or cars come with power windows, and so this is a very powerful concept that you can have different, basically, uh, programmer designed data types to plug and play in different parts of the program. And you'll see that there are some built-in classes um, in or class-like objects in Java, such as the string class, and there you can actually make them as a programmer. But we'll save that for later. So what we're saying is public. This class is publicly open, and the name of this class is main. Every every Java program has a main class, and it starts off with the main class, and the open and close brackets signify the start and stop of where this class begins and ends and runs this code, and that's in the main body of the program. So this entire line here can be defined as the class header, and this starts the beginning of a class definition. And inside the brackets, that's where you define the class. So this main name right here, it doesn't have to be name main, but for simplicity's sake, and just keep yourself straight on what's on where your main program is, it's probably best that you keep it main for now. But as we start to delve deeper into object-oriented design, feel free to name your classes different names that fit what the class is. So say you want to make a class, again going back to the car example, say you want to make a class that says, car, and then within the car class you have different types of cars that you want to build out different options. So just think about that a little bit, but for now just know that that's just the name of your class, and the brackets, these brackets right here, highlight the beginning and end of what defines that class. Now on to let's see, line 5 on this particular application. This line is a method header, right? Just like you had a class header here, you have a method header. Within this method header, you have a method name, and just like you had a class name. So every application, every program, Java program at least, has to have um, a main method, right? And uh, from here, you have these arguments within the method, string args. We'll talk about what exactly that means in probably more into chapter 3 and 4. Not necessarily here. We're just trying to get the basics down in module 2. But let's press your I believe button that you have to have uh, this here. This piece of code here. Also, just to press your be better on static void. We'll also talk about what that means in a little bit as well. So suffice it to say, just like the the class definition, your method has a main body as well. And it starts and stops with these open and closed brackets, the left and right brackets, right? And here is an example of on line 6, you have a comment. And in Java, you can comment out in several different ways, but for now, we'll talk about this one particular comment where you do a double forward slash. And basically, that's a good way to start documenting what exactly is going on in your program. So here we're going to go ahead and type in where we are writing hello world. Right, and so this line is what comments do is give you free text to write whatever you want, and when the compiler goes through to actually compile and place the and create the JVM, um, it does not run this line. It doesn't see this line, but we can see it as humans. Obviously, can see it, and it helps programmers see what other programmers are actually meaning to do in a particular program, right? So um, in Java, we're going to add this line. All right, in Java, uh, I will say that it's a bit different than other programming languages that I've used, where strings and input outputs are a little bit more cumbersome, I would say. but it makes sense for the way Java is um, is designed to be used. So how you manipulate strings being a string of characters like hello world, is a bit different than how you would manipulate strings in other programming languages. But for now, just know that system, we'll type the system is a class in Java, and it's a class in Java that invokes the Java's API, and we'll type in out, and that's a object within system. And then we'll type in print line. And so notice that you have, let's go back. When you type in a class, and you type in dot, then dot brings down all the different types of properties for that particular class that we can access. So we can actually scroll down as a shortcut, hit out, and it types out. And then we're going to use print lines, the first one, print line, press enter, and then creates or creates the parentheses and the semicolon. That's proper syntax or proper diction, you would say, proper, the correct grammar of the programming language for you. So very shortcuts, a lot of shortcuts where instead of typing all that out, it cuts it down to 4 or 5 keystrokes. Very useful when you're typing for a while. So system.out again invokes a object within the system class, and then we type in print line, which is a method within the out object. And we want to use the method, and we want to say we use double uh, quotation marks. When you just hit one quotation mark, it'll the program, or actually it'll be IntelliJ will automatically put in two quotation marks for you, again reducing the amount of keystrokes you need to put. And then we're going to say hello world, and that will be our print out statement. So all this is saying is I'm invoking the Java API system, and then we want to print something out to the output device. In this case, the screen, or will be actually the terminal, / the command prompt. And then we want to print a line, a string object out to the output device. So, and then the IntelliJ automatically put the semicolon, but normally if you don't have a high-end interpreter or compiler / interpreter, or you're running on the command prompt, you have to put a semicolon in, and that's basically like a period. Um, you know, putting a period at the end of a sentence, right? And so that completes the program. And with IntelliJ, it does a debug check for you automatically. And here you can see the green check mark says that, okay, this program you can run it. It doesn't mean that it will run properly, but the syntax is correct, and it sort of makes sense on an initial glance by the computer. And basically, all it says, this green check mark says is that it has proper syntax, and it could run. Will it run correctly? Only when you get the output, right? So to run a program in IntelliJ, we'll go ahead and click on this tab here, run, and we want to run main. But if you had multiple programs up, you could go to run about 4 levels down, and as you can see, here's uh, the shortcut Alt Shift F10, or you can F10 to run whatever is currently up in this box right here. You can see right here, this is the program, or you'll be running. This is a bit of code you'll be running. Right now, there's nothing else besides the main Java file. But if you had multiple, then you could click here and click run here. So you want to run the main file, and it's going to build / compile, building up the JVM, and it prints out in the runtime environment, hello world. That's your first program. Be proud. So it gets nothing but more complicated from here. But the point of this was to sort of get you guys used to what you're supposed to be looking for in the IntelliJ IDE. On top of that, sort of looking at the syntax of Java. The big takeaways I want you to take out of this is that every Java application has a main method. And you have reserved words that are highlighted in orange in this particular case, but they're built into the language. And if you're using a command prompt running Java, these reserved words won't be highlighted, but they have meaning. Especially public, class, all those things have meaning, and you just need to know that you can't necessarily use these as these words as variables, and we'll talk about that more when we talk about variables. But yeah, those are the main takeaways. Also on top of this, when you have one set of brackets, you also have to have you have open bracket. You also have to have a closed bracket. Same here. Every time you have a bracket, you have to open and close it. Otherwise, it won't compile. And it'll tell you right here. It's, say we delete this. Boop. It's like, oh, there's an error. But if we just simply put that back, it is good to go. So that is your hello world. That is your introduction to Java, your first Java program.